Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Tableau build. My name is Alex S. Moy, aka the Data Doctor, and today we are going to be taking on this Workout Wednesday challenge to build out a waffle chart. So if you've never come across Workout Wednesday, this is a great site. A lot of interesting visualizations, different types of challenges, calculations. Highly encourage you to check it out if you want to work on your Tableau visualization skills. They also have a section for Power BI if Power BI floats your boat. But today we're going to be diving into how to build out this type of chart. So you can see it's a 10 by 10 grid, and it's colored in by percentages. So this is one of those chart types that you're not going to be able to build in Tableau straight out of the box without using something called scaffolding. So this is going to be some extra data that we're going to need to build out and put into Tableau in order to make that happen. But the other thing about this data set is we're going to be using the generic Superstore data set. So that's going to make it fairly easy for us to work with, build out. So you guys are welcome to follow along at home yourselves, but we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen so you guys can see every part of my screen over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is build out that scaffolding data set in Excel. And I'll show you guys a couple of calculations maybe you've never seen before in Excel that can also help you here as well. So we're going to create these three columns, and you'll see right here that we've got our column, our row column, our column, and our percentage column. And so the thing that is going to be important over here is this percentages, right? So right now we've got a sequence, so you can use this function. It will generate your values all the way through 100. And I'm going to actually paste this back as values because I'm going to manipulate this a little bit. And then I'm going to add a percentage sign over here. And I'm going to do that again over here. And there's different ways to handle this. This is just the approach I'm taking. I'm going to double click that and fill that in. Now for our columns, we're going to want, the rows to go across, or rows, so we'll be row 1, and then we're going to go across. So row 1, row 1, column 2, so on and so forth. So an easy way to handle this in Tableau, or in Excel, I should say, is we're just going to use our mod function, right? And then we're going to use our row function as well. So we're going to do A1. And I've done this a few times, so I'm going to go ahead and cheat and add this +1, -1. Because I know for a fact that we want to do that so that we have this 10 instead of a 0 that would show up here if we just did a pure mod, okay? Because essentially what we're doing is we're decrementing each one of these numbers by 1, or we're doing that row, and then we're dividing by 10. So this is actually 0 after that mod function. We're adding back 1 to get our 1 value. And over here, this is 9 plus 1 gives us our 10. So that's exactly what we want over here. And so that works perfectly. What we're going to do over here now is we're going to do something similar where we're going to grab that. We're going to subtract 1. I'm going to wrap this with a parentheses because I want to make sure that that takes place first. We're going to divide it by 10. And then we're going to use this floor function to make sure we trim off any remainders. And then we're going to add back our 1. So similar to what we did before. And now that's going to populate all of these different things. Because initially we would get 0, but we want our row to actually be 1. And, in Tableau, we would actually be able to use all of those values, the 0 to 1. Instead, but just so that we can do it the way that we like cleanly, we're just going to use this little modified formula over here. So just like that, we're able to create all of these different columns necessary for calculation. So I'm going to go ahead and save this data set And we'll go ahead and put this into our folder over here. We'll call this our Waffle scaffold. And so that's going to be available to us now as an Excel file. So go ahead and close that, and we'll go into Tableau now. So I've got a brand new Tableau workbook. Let's go ahead and connect to our data. So the first data set that we're going to want is our Superstore data set. So that's already in here. We've got everything that we need in order to build out those 3 different Waffle charts, right? They are 3 different visualizations, so we do want to kind of treat them like that. And then the other thing we'll do is we'll come in here and we'll add another data source. We'll connect to our Waffle scaffolding. So go ahead and bring that in. You'll see everything looks like it's in correctly. We'll go ahead and come back to our sheets, and now we can see we got our Waffle scaffolding. So what does this look like? If we grab columns over here and rows over here, we can see this. But if we disaggregate it, you can see, okay, now we've got all of our different points. We can change this to a square, make it a little bit bigger now. And you can start to see that waffle shape, right? And if we grab our percentages, we can even put our labels over here. We'll modify the default property to percentages, 0 decimal places. And so now you can see that grid that we were talking about before. Now, if I wanted to do this the same way that we have it on the example for our workout Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead and reverse this. So now our percentages start from 1 up here and 100 down here. So that's going to be useful when we start to fill this out. And of course, we can remove our headers and everything and clean up all of our grid lines in a little bit. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go back to our Superstore data set. And let's break this down, right? So in our workout Wednesday, we can see that this is percentage of sales by segment. So consumer, corporate, home office are our different segments. So let's go ahead and build out those calculations as a percentage. So I'm going to create one. It's going to be called consumer sales percentage. Right? And so we say if segment equals consumer, then sales. Right, and we can do n, and then we can actually take the sum of this, and then we can divide it by the sum of the fixed sum of sales. And so if we fix it and then take the sum of sales, this will give us essentially the global sales. So this should give us the percentage of consumer sales. So let's go ahead and create a new worksheet and see what that looks like over here. Grab that, and so that looks like 50.6%, and that should be, that's in line with our example over here, 50%. We might run into some rounding errors over here, but let's go back over here, changes to percentage, remove that. Okay, so we got 51% right there. And yeah, I don't know if the data is matched up 100%, but it looks like it's correct. So we can come back over here, and what we can do with that element is we can create a calculated field over here. So we don't have anything to blend our scaffolding with our Superstore data set, right? But we can actually create a calculation over here, and we can just say, what's this called? Consumer color. And so all we want to do is compare it to, so we're going to say consumer sales percentage greater than or equal to percentage. And then we're going to actually have to take the sum of percentage since the other calculations in aggregate, right? And if this is true, we want to color our chart. And so you can see over here, now we have our 50% is colored just like that. So we can remove this over here, adjust the size a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and hide these headers. And then we'll go ahead and format our chart. And we can come in here, remove our grid lines. So there's no more grid lines. Remove our zero lines. And then, are there any other borders? It looks like there might be some ruler axes. So we remove that, remove our axis ticks. And I think that's pretty cleaned up. So now we can come over here and make our size a little bit bigger. All right. And so now it's starting to look like our waffle chart over here. So now what we want to do is come over here to our colors. We'll go ahead and turn our true into that purple color. And we can, I'm going to come over to our Seattle gray and grab this light gray and populate it like that. So now we're able to create our customer segment color, right? And that looks pretty good. And so we've got this waffle chart, and then here's the requirements, right? We want to show our big numbers over here and show the percentage for each segment, no tooltips as a percentage. And we're making it square, so that's fine. And so we want to reproduce this the best we can. And so let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to this. Let's grab this and create that calculation for these other segments. So I'm going to grab this and duplicate it. I'll duplicate it twice. And we'll edit it. And we'll call this corporate. So we can take that and we can drop this right in here. Whoops. If we drop corporate in here, we'll see that that's going to populate for corporate. And then we're going to go ahead and edit this one as well. Remove this, and we'll call this one home office. And so we can come over here, and now we're able to validate everything. The only thing that I don't understand exactly why that's happening is, where the rounding is coming. Clearly it's something around here, and rounding errors do happen, but that's just a little bit wonky over here for us. But we've got our numbers, we've got our percentages for what we want, and so that is all well and good. So we're going to come back over here. And now that we already have this one created, I'm just going to duplicate this 2 times, right? And we can essentially create the same calculation 2 times as well. So, when you're building a lot of workbooks, worksheets, and stuff, you sometimes have to find ways to not have to duplicate the work over and over again. So we're going to go ahead and apply that, and we should be able to come over here and put this on here. And then we'll grab this color over here, Seattle gray for our gray. And then now we've got this one. So this is our corporate. And I'm going to go ahead and name this corporate so that we know exactly which sheets are what. Consumer. And then this is going to be home office. So we'll go ahead and edit this, say home office. And what's really important as we're doing some of this is if you have good naming convention, it makes it much easier to manage. So we're able to manipulate this fairly quickly because we knew exactly what everything was named. We didn't have anything that was confusing. And just like that, we're able to build all three of our waffle charts. And then we're going to create our big numbers at the bottom, right? So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to grab our segments. We'll put them as our column. And let me go back over here. So we actually see that they've got consumer, corporate, home office, and that lines up over here. But I'm actually going to grab the segment and put it in our text as well. So you'll see the text show up over here. And then we can grab our percentages. So yeah, there are these percentages calculations, and we could put these over here as well and just make this bigger. But you can see that there's all this awkward spacing over here. And we can actually solve for that by coming over here and grabbing all of this and putting it all on the same line. Making sure that's centered. And so that will fix it. We can come over here and set this as horizontally aligned center. And so that's one way to do it. And that certainly works right there. We could also create this custom calculation, one custom calculation, and use it for everything. But that's an easy way to use what we already have. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of the formatting that we have around here, like our row dividers. And that way we've got this really clean box and everything. And then so let's come back over here and take a look. We've got these pretty large numbers, and in fact our percentages are above. So let's come back over here and modify this. We'll grab this over here, and I'm going to make this semi-bold and increase the size to maybe 14. You can apply that and see how that looks. I think that looks pretty good. So we can see that they used a all caps type font in there, and we can do that in just a second. Let's do bold for numbers over here, and we'll grab 16. So it's slightly bigger, and I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I do think that we can just apply the upper function right there. Perfect. So that did work out. Sometimes you have to come back over here and modify that, but we are able to just use the upper string function to rename or modify that in the shelf itself. And so that makes it fairly easy to work with. All right, so let's come back over here and take a look. We've got a dashboard size that's very specific. So let's go ahead and build that part. It's 1,000. Whoops, 1,000. 525. So very, very specific dimensions over here. And then so we'll just call this our big, awesome numbers. And so now what we can do is we're going to put a vertical container in here first. Okay, and the reason why I want to do that is because I want to have my text that is workout Wednesday 2022, week 52. And we'll just say, yes, we can build waffle charts. And we'll make this a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. And we'll center that. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Okay. And then we'll just say, we'll create another text up here that's going to say percentage of sales by segment. Okay. And we'll make this again a little bit bigger. And I'm going to make it a little bit darker because well, that looks like it's a little bit too big. So we'll set that back down to 10 and center that. So now you can see that we've got that text right there. I think that looks pretty good. Now what we want to do is put a horizontal container so that we can drop in all of our charts over here, and we're going to hide our titles. And it looks like we've got a little bit too big of a yeah, let's go and remove all of that. So our size on here is a little bit too big, so we're just going to drop this back down and let's see what it looks like on our dashboard. So that looks okay. We're actually going to put our our big awesome numbers down here. If I can ever drop it in here properly, we'll hide our titles and we'll come over here and adjust our height a little bit. So if you've never used this section over here, this is actually really useful. I'm going to remove this container. You know, sometimes if you're working with some pixel perfect reporting, you want to make sure you're getting things lined up just right. You will want to come in here and grab all these things and adjust them using this. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to adjust the height. I'm going to say 350. Let's see how that looks. Let's make it a little bit tighter. 300. Yeah, that's starting to look a little bit better, right? So let's do 333 since we know we're 1,000 across, right? And so that should essentially distribute everything properly. So we'll come back over here, adjust it back to this middle size, and come back to our dashboard. We'll see what that looks like. So you can see that the sizing over here is pretty tight. And so let's play around with this a little bit. Drop it over here and see what that looks like. So not quite small enough yet. Let's see how much further we need to take it down. So that is pretty close. We'll take it down just a smidge more. Yeah, and I feel like that is really, really close to the design example. So let me grab that, see what that looks like. Yeah, so that's feeling pretty good right there. So we're going to go back over here, grab the size, smidge it just a little bit right there. And it just gives that little bit extra fill in there. And so that looks really good. Now I want to come back over here. Let's see. And I want to adjust our alignments vertically to the top so that it looks like it's part of that. And then the other part that is a little bit annoying in Tableau is that this outer padding, I typically just get rid of it so that I can fill in a little bit tighter. And so now this is looking really good. I feel like this is really coming together. And so now what I'm going to finally do is add our little signature line over here. We're going to say Yeah, data superstore. Challenged by Yetter. Dataviz. I hope I got that right. Recreated by Alex S. Moy. So there you go. We're able to rebuild this. I'm going to go ahead and color this purple. We'll color that purple as well. Add that in there. Of course, drop this back down to size. And just like that, we were able to create this waffle chart workout Wednesday. Hopefully you guys have found this useful. I'm going to go ahead and publish this to Tableau Public. You'll be able to pull down this workbook, and I'm going to take a look at finding a spot where you can also download the Excel workbook, but feel free to go back in and look at the tutorial. The calculation I did it fairly quickly, but it is worthwhile checking out and getting comfortable with some of those calculations. You never know when they'll come in handy for something that you're working on. So as always, please hit the like and subscribe button if you guys find this useful and want to see more videos from me. Be sure to share this with other folks that you think would find this useful, helpful as well. Like and share, subscribe, comment, all of those fun YouTube things and anything else that you find to be useful. So that's my time for today. We were able to knock this out in about half an hour today, and I feel pretty good about this Workout Wednesday challenge. I think you guys should give it a shot as well and see how you feel about it. And some of the formatting took a little bit while longer, but that's it for me today. And you guys enjoy this. Be sure to give me a comment down below and let me know. All right, until next time, take care.